Okay, great leaders, let us consider today interquartile range. Interquartile range. Interquartile range. In the previous class, we treated the quartile. I said quartile has to do with the division of a total frequency or distribution into 4 parts. And I gave a similar example on the board. And I said these divisions can be classified as the first quarter, second, third, and the fourth. But I said the fourth is not considered in the course of trying to classify the lower, the upper, and the median quarters. I said the lower quarter is the first quarter, the median quarter is the second, and the upper quarter is the third quarter. So the first quarter has to do with 25th percentile, the median has to do with 50th percentile, and the upper has to do with the 75th percentile. I also treated range. I said range is a difference between the highest and the lowest value given in a distribution. Let us look at quickly the interquartile range. The interquartile range is simply the mark or the value between the upper quarter and the lower quarter. The mark or the value between the lower quarter and the upper quarter is what is called the interquartile range. The mark between the lower and the upper quarter is called the interquartile range. Interquartile range. Interquartile range is simply the mark or value between Q1 and Q3, where Q1 is the lower range or quarter and Q3 is the upper quarter, which we treated in the previous class. That is, interquartile range is equal to, interquartile range is simply equal to Q3 minus Q1. That is our interquartile range. Now, if you are given this quickly for us to deal with the semi-interquartile range and other aspects, to understand that graphically, if you're given this is a graph, you have the vertical and the horizontal line, and you've divided this is an ogif. This type of curve is called the ogif. It's called the ogif, also known as the cumulative frequency curve. Cumulative frequency curve, that is it. Now, if I divide this in 4 areas, 25th percentile, I have 50 percentile, I have 75 percentile, and I have 100 percentile. That you should know. Now, this is our median. From what I explained in the previous class, I said this is called the lower percentile, the median or the middle. Here it's called the upper percentile. If I try to look at this carefully, here's also my Q3, remember? Here's my Q3. Q3 will give us the 75th percentile. And here is my Q1. Q1. That's my Q1. Now the distance from here to here, the difference from here to here, is what is called the interquartile range. So here's our interquartile range. Interquartile range. As I said, it is simply the mark or value between the Q1 and Q3. So that is our interquartile range. Here we have our upper value. Of course, you know that this will be our median value. Here's our median value from the graph that we have here. If you trace the value, if after having your ogif or your cumulative frequency curve and you have to find the middle value, after you've divided your curve into 4 parts in this form, the middle value is at 50% or 50th percentile. Look at it, trace it there carefully, and bring it down. Whatever number you have there is called the median or the middle value. That is it. So let us quickly look at the semi-interquartile range. Semi-interquartile range. The semi-interquartile range is simply half of the interquartile range. Semi-interquartile range. The semi-interquartile range is simply half of once you already have the Q3 minus Q1. So in case you're asked to find the semi-interquartile range after you've gotten your OGIF or your cumulative frequency curve, and you've been able to divide your frequency or distribution into 4 parts, which is 25th, 50th, 75th, and 100th, then you're asked to calculate the semi-interquartile range. If you know the value that is in between the lower percentile and the upper percentile, if you know that value, simply divide the value by 2. Whatever answer you have is called the semi-interquartile range. Whatever answer you have is called the semi-interquartile range. So in today's class, we have considered the interquartile range, and I've explained interquartile range as the mark of value between the lower percentile and the upper percentile. And this is the mathematical formula. I said you can derive that from your cumulative frequency curve, which is also called the OGIF. We shall be plotting this out, of course, in our next classes when we are treating that. So, but this is your OGIF. Your OGIF assumes this shape. If you divide your graph into 4 parts, you end up having the median, you have the lower, and you have the upper percentile. Then the distance or the value between the lower and the upper percentile, I said it's called the interquartile range. If you know that value, if you divide that value by 2, what you're going to have is called the semi-interquartile range. So see you in the next class.